Day.
And I'm Richard Day.
We're both chiropractors.
We've been in practice together for 11 years.
Married for 10.
With 3 beautiful little girls.
We know it's possible to have an exceptional practice that's built around your life.
Because we've done it.
So we've created this podcast,
the Lifestyle Practice Builders Podcast.
We'll interview chiropractors, answer questions, and bring you resources to help build and grow your practice.
So let's get this party started.
Welcome back to the Lifestyle Practice Builders Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Haley Day, and today is January 1st, 2021. I'm so excited to come on today and share with you some thoughts for the new year. I don't dwell on the past, so if last year was tough for you, start to look forward. I thought about doing a year-end review for this podcast, but really, I like to look forward. I like to think about what I'm going to change, what the next year is going to look like. All of those things are so much more important to me than really thinking about the past. I think you should take into account the things that worked and didn't work and constantly be evolving, but definitely looking towards the future. So there's no better way to move on from the past than to think about how the next year can be better and to act on it. If 2020 was a good year for you, then how can you double down this year on all the things that worked in 2020 to make 2021 that much better? Let's try to 10x what you did last year. So today I'm going to talk through where my head is at for 2021, some things I'm going to do differently, and what things I'm going to work on for the podcast and for rebuilding my own chiropractic practice. I was something I was supposed to do in 2020, but thanks to COVID, I had to kind of put on hold, which is fine. I've been loving this year anyway. And I hope this inspires you to take some time today to set some goals for your 2021, make a plan for how you're going to achieve them. When you're done, you should have your first quarter planned out, like with actual things on your calendar that are going to help you reach those goals. You should also have a general idea of what the rest of the year will look like for you, but it doesn't need to be as detailed as this first quarter. Definitely need to have some things on the calendar for this quarter and be thinking about what you'll be doing for the rest of the year. To start, I'm not one for New Year's resolutions or having a word for the year. I think that's kind of something that has been new for the last 3 years, a few years that I've noticed. But I think that each day is an opportunity for positive change and growth. So when January 1st usually rolls around, it's no different than any day of the year for me. But for whatever reason, this year, I'm going to do this. My word for the year is intentional. I'm also resolving to not eat sugar unless it's someone's birthday, because I think that you should help people celebrate their birthday. And since I can't have cake or ice cream or candy unless it's someone's birthday, please invite me to your birthday party. I will bring gifts. So I have no idea why these things crept into my head to change for 2021, but getting rid of sugar and focusing on intention is what feels right for me. So I'll explain the significance of each. Cutting out sugar honestly isn't a big deal or even a big change for me. In the past, I've been a candyaholic, but in the last 5 years, I've eaten drastically less. However, this past month with holidays, movie nights, all of those things, I've eaten a little bit more. But the real reason I'm choosing to not eat it in 2021 is to be a little healthier, but also to remind myself of that second element that I really want to focus on, and that's to be more intentional overall. That's also why my word for the year is intentional. I feel like by being intentional with this one thing, with cutting out sugar, it will remind me of how I want to be intentional with everything else. When my girls are sitting down to eat a cookie and I think I need one too, or I'm passing through the candy aisle at the grocery store, I can easily say no to those things and remind myself about the intention that I want to bring to 2021. So for me, I've made a lot of intentional choices. My parents were really hands-off, so I was very independent and allowed to make decisions for myself early on. In high school, I chose what I thought was the best college for myself. When I graduated from college with a business degree, I interviewed at several large companies. I think my parents would have loved me to take a job there, but I ultimately chose not to find a cubicle job because I knew I couldn't be happy doing that. Not that it's not right for some people. It is not right for me. I like to be up and around and moving and changing and things going on. And I'm social. And so just sitting at a cubicle was not the right idea for me. And no one I talked to seemed happy at their job, but maybe they were, and that's just how they are happy. Anyway, although I had no idea of what I wanted to do, I kept making choices that seemed congruent with my passions and goals and tried to make the right choice for me at every turn. I tried working in restaurants and going to culinary school. I started to really focus on healthy foods, which ultimately led me back to chiropractic. And then my husband, a practice, our podcast, writing a book, and all these things that I love are a part of my life and a life that I'm all too happy to be a part of. Being intentional really allowed me to build a dream life. And to be honest, I still feel like I'm just getting started. So I have so much more that I want to do. There's a fire in me to build and do more, to help more people in business, in chiropractic business, and in health. Two of my very biggest passions. If you're a friend of mine that isn't a chiropractor, I still involve myself in your business. It's just what I love. So I love to do that. I love the business side. I also really, truly do love health in our house. Being healthy is very important. So those are my two biggest passions. This year, I've decided to be even more intentional with all of my communication, intentional with my parenting, intentional with my patients and in our practice, intentional with my relationships, and intentional with all of the decisions that I'm making in my life. So I've made a lot of strides in my life by being intentional, mindful, focused, and consistent. A lot of things I talk about a lot on the podcast. And for me, being intentional sums up all of these together in one word. And so that's why I chose that for 2021. I typically never do this, but I thought, you know what? It just kind of kept coming back into me, something that I want to keep thinking about and keep top of mind when I'm making choices. A lot of things going on this year that I really want to be mindful about and have clarity for. When I'm mindful of my choices, I've noticed in myself and in my life that I can take leaps. So think about what has worked for you. Maybe you need a word for the year. You can take my word, but you want to make sure that whatever you choose is something that resonates and feels right for you. So if you're a student, then think about connecting with mentors. You want to develop your skills and knowledge about not only just treating the patient, but communicating with patients and with employees and employers. So if you're a student, start thinking about those things. Start putting out feelers for your future, visiting the area you want to practice in, meeting people in that community, and visualizing your future there. If you're a practicing chiropractor, think about what worked for you last year and in what ways you can push yourself out of your comfort zone. Do you need to be more social to build more connections and bring more patients in? Do you need to be more efficient in your practice? How can you fix leaks in your patient journey? Where are the patients dropping off their treatment plan? And how can you fix that? What marketing is working for you? And how can you be more effective with your marketing this year? Also, what isn't working? What things can you let go of? Doesn't that feel good when you let go of things? What hours can you let go of? What hours aren't serving you to be in the practice? At some point, we kind of decided, you know what? People stand us up on Friday afternoons. Let's not work on Friday afternoons. So we got rid of those hours. And when can you take more time for yourself to work on the practice or to spend more time with your family? So think about those things. Think about whether you're a student or practicing chiro, and think about how you can make changes this year to really increase all of those positive things and decrease the negative things. And what good habits can you bring on, and what goals can you have, and really push yourself to reaching those goals. One of the things I worked really hard on last year was developing the 5-week series of podcasts for the 5 things you must know before starting a practice ebook. If you haven't downloaded, you have no idea what I'm talking about. If you've been listening to us for a while, you do know what I'm talking about, and I appreciate you for sticking around. But if you have no idea what I'm talking about, then go download the ebook at lifestylepracticebuilders.com/ebook. Then listen to the podcast number 158, 160, 162, 165, and 167. The podcast, I dive much deeper on the 5 topics, but the ebook is good to have. And they are all the top 5 things you really need to understand before you start a practice. If you've recently started a practice, it's still really good to build these foundational elements, have a really well-rounded idea of what it takes to succeed in these areas. I put a lot of time into creating that series to help students, practicing chiropractors, build a solid foundation in their practice. So please take advantage of it. With that series, we also sold more chiroplanners and courses the last 2 months than in any other 2 months. So my intention to build it, my focus, the consistency paid off for us. I was able to reach more students and more chiropractors and help more of you and make more in return. So I'm planning to edit the ebook and the emails that go along with the podcast this year so we can help even more of you succeed in practice. If you've been listening to the podcast and you follow us on Instagram, then you also know we've been selling the 2021 Startup Bundle for those of you graduating and starting to practice in 2021. It's an awesome time to be starting to practice. The bundle includes a chiroplanner and a full year in the foundation membership that we've created. You can learn more about this at lifestylepracticebuilders.com/startup. It's the ultimate resource to help you get started this year with our help. The foundation is a startup library of information that goes along with the planner. It also includes a private Facebook group where I will be doing live trainings. So that's something I'm going to be putting together this year. I'm going to answer questions, post helpful resources in there for starting and growing your practice. So I plan to go live in that group at least once a month. That's everything I'll be creating this year too, to dive in on topics such as billing, insurance, marketing, networking, social media, building a brand, all of those things that you need to know to get started. And so that's going to be on my plate this year, really building that up, the foundation. So if you're starting to practice in 2021, 2022, 2023, please pay attention to that. We want to help you get started. It's very affordable compared to any other resource out there. And it's not salesy, scripty, any of that stuff. We're just here to support you through that process and would love for you to check that out. So lifestylepracticebuilders.com/startup. I also want to have more podcast guests. We're working on that. We have some lined up, but being very intentional with the ones that we bring on the show. And this is very hard for you guys, for us to do, to make sure that these people come on and give you guys tons of value. If you have a recommendation or you want to be a guest, then send me a DM on Instagram. I will continue to seek out genuine, honest, passionate guests that will help you be and do better. So for the podcast, I'm focusing on helping more of you by making the resources we have better, developing the trainings for the foundation, and continuing to bring you all up-to-date resources and information on the podcast. So please keep listening. As for rebuilding my practice, I was supposed to do that this year. With COVID, we ended up having one of our daughters stay home from school. So I am taking care of her at the same time I do the podcast and still treating patients. I do get to go to the office. If all things go well, though, I will be able to return to full-time-ish practice in September. And for that, I have already started to make strategic networking connections in the community. I've signed up for a seminar that I'm going to next week and I'm excited about, and rebuilding our practice website, a website for myself. I've also been working on developing an online health program for my patients. 8 months feels like a long way away. I have 8 months so to work on this, but I know it will creep up and I want to have all of these things going before then. A full website, social media content, blog, possibly even another podcast, at least in the works. So I will continue to share and update you all on these things each month on the podcast for a couple reasons. One, to help give you all ideas on what you can be doing if you're a student, then what you can be doing before you open, because in a sense, I'm not open yet. I do see patients, but I'm not marketing. I'm not really trying to bring them in as much as I will be in the next 8 months. And then if you are in practice, you can be paying attention to what you can implement in your practice to grow it. Also, I'll be sharing with you on my progress will help me keep me accountable to what I want to accomplish, which will be especially hard those last few months when I'm spending the summer with the girls before they return to school. I feel like I'll need a plan for my plan. But I'm sure you all feel that same way. And it's a good feeling to know that you have options and that you can put these goals and ideas and plans into place and really build your dream practice and get started into practice if you're just graduating. And that's what I will be doing. There's a lot to be done, right? So I'm going to take this weekend to really plan out my first quarter more than I ever have, because I really need a plan with having a kid home with me, with trying to do the podcast and focusing on all of you opening a practice that are with us in the foundation. And so I really need to know what I need to be doing each week to stay on my task. I hope you will too. Be intentional about your goals, your plans, and your actions this year. How can you improve in 2021? Write down your specific goals for the year, read them daily, think of what you need to do and the person you need to be to reach those goals. Get creative with your plan and really push yourself outside of your comfort zone. That is where you will be excited, and you will find success when you push yourself out of those comfort zones. And I want to leave you with one more thought. Success comes from service, and anyone who has been successful has fulfilled a need for their community. If you want to be successful, then find ways to serve more people, help more people, and help your community. All of these things will help you become more successful. And this should be really easy as chiropractors. I mean, this is what we do, but it doesn't just mean by being a chiropractor. Be a part of something bigger. For me, it's helping you all, students and chiropractors, helping in my daughter's school and working with the professionals that I've networked with to create a better plan for families in our community and things that are bigger than us. So where can you serve more? Find those places, find where you're happiest doing that, and dig in deeper this year. I wish you all a happy new year. Rich and I have big dreams for you and your success in 2021. Take care and enjoy this weekend with your family. Make those plans, and I'll see you again next week.
If you enjoyed this podcast episode, please share it with your friends on Instagram and Facebook. And for those of you who are already subscribers, we really appreciate it. Thanks for the reviews. We love reading those and knowing that you're loving the podcast. If you're looking for more tips and inspiration, be sure to check us out at lifestylepracticebuilders.com or join our business and marketing Facebook group for chiropractors at facebook.com/group/lifestylepractice.